Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of our studio. Today I'm bringing to you a follow-up of my previous video, the most affordable vertical garden. Before I start, I want to acknowledge the situation that we're all in right now. I hope you and your family are safe, and I want to thank to all the first responders and essential workers that every single day are working very hard to get us out of this situation. Thank you very much to all. Okay, so it's already a whole year since I posted my video of how I made this very affordable vertical garden. Many of you love this video. Thank you very much for watching. If it is the very first time you guys are watching my videos, please consider subscribing. It really helps me grow this channel and it really helps me make more videos for you to enjoy. So thank you very much for subscribing. So overall, I'm gonna go through several things that I thought it was important to address in this video. One, I think, is all the things that went well with this vertical garden. In addition to that, I want to cover as well a little bit of the challenges that I have. And finally, I will share with you a little bit of advice of what type of things I did that I was not very happy about and perhaps can be so much better than the original idea. So the good things, or overall my review of this vertical garden, is that it's absolutely successful. As I mentioned in my previous video, if you guys haven't seen the previous video, I'm gonna leave a link below so you can watch it and then come back to this one. Overall, this project itself is very successful. The material that the vertical garden is made of, which is an Ikea shoe holder, it's made 100% polyester. So again, we can tell that polyester is extremely strong, and it can resist all the natural elements, the sun, the water, and it's not gonna get damaged. It's gonna get dirty. It's gonna look a little bit hit by the elements, water and sun, but it's not gonna create any mold or deteriorate itself. So as you can tell, it's holding on together extremely well, and that is something that most of you wanted to see and what most of you wanted to know, how long it's gonna last and if it's not just gonna start falling apart once you put water and soil and all these elements of a natural garden. Something else that you guys might be very interested in is knowing how the wall behind the vertical garden is doing, and I'm gonna tell you it's doing absolutely great. It's not getting any damage. The water itself is not penetrating through the material to the wall, so it's not getting any type of water damage. Also, what it helps is that the wall behind me, it's covered with stucco. Stucco itself is going to be very strong to the elements and is not going to get damaged with water or sunlight. I will advise, however, if anybody is trying to do these type of elements in the interior, please be careful. I will advise to try to insulate or separate the element itself with maybe some layers of plastic, so perhaps you can protect a little bit more the wall that you're gonna be placing this element. Now I'm gonna talk about a little bit of the health of the plants itself. So the plants are doing absolutely great. They don't seem to be bothered at all with the material itself, or for the location, or for the way they are placed into the vertical garden. They seem to be doing extremely well. Of course, some of them are doing much better than others, and I basically just learned a little bit with time to select which ones do better than the others, and the ones that just don't do very well, I just get rid of them and I just replace them with some that actually are the same species of the ones that are doing super good. Now, all the plants that I have are succulents, so they require very little maintenance, and the watering itself is very limited. So that is something that you need to have in consideration as well, because if you want to have a plant that requires high maintenance, this is probably not a good idea to do in that case. I would recommend a plant that has very little maintenance, that is very easy to take care of, that is very easy to grow, and this for sure is gonna be the perfect project for you. Now, in the other hand, the only thing that really is showing a little bit of damage and rust is the hooks. But as you can tell, it's just a little bit. I think that is just natural because the way wasn't originally designed to be used like this. It's natural that the water and the humidity itself of being outside is causing into the hooks. But overall, it's just doing very good. So I will say that is the only thing that I can really notice any type of damage for the water and overall the exposure to the elements. Now I'm going to talk about a little bit of the challenges that I have having this vertical garden here. So one, or I will say the most big challenge that I have having the vertical garden here in the balcony is the sunlight. I really want to plant succulents, as I mentioned before, because they're so easy to take care of. They just need a good amount of sunlight. That's the only issue, that they require actually a huge amount of sunlight to do the best. They obviously can grow in some shade, but overall they most of the time need a really good amount of sunlight. So being in this covered balcony, I have a certain limited amount of sunlight during the day. So I don't know if you guys can tell a little bit, but the plants that are doing the best are the ones that are covered by the 45-degree angle of sunlight that is able to come into the opening of the balcony. That was a challenge for me because most of the plants that I plant, let's put it this way, 45 degrees towards the inside of the balcony, most of the plants die. They just start really showing some stress and they start stretching out to try to reach some sunlight, but overall after a little bit of time they just die. I have to replace plants often in that area, and some of them were just stronger, so they just stay there. So I tried to identify which ones were doing better in the shade. However, most of them really like the sunlight. And something else that the succulents do the best is changing colors with the sunlight. So unfortunately that is something that I cannot appreciate because I don't have such a good amount of sunlight here, so I cannot see the beautiful colors that the succulents can turn into when they're exposed to full sunlight. So the way I overcame this was by getting grow lights. These grow lights are not the typical ones that you're gonna find in the market, which is the blue and red, which produce a very purplish or pinkish color. This one is actually called Balance and Spectrum, and it's from GE. They're very affordable. It's basically just a light bulb. It's very affordable, and I loved it because I really don't like to see this purple light in my vertical garden. I really want to just enjoy the beauty of the succulents, and I don't want it to be completely washed by this purple light. I don't really like that. So it took me a little bit of time, but I ended up finding these lights. Since I installed them, I definitely could tell the difference that most of them were not dying. They actually start holding on a little bit better, and they don't show the beautiful colors that the succulents show in natural light, but at least now they are staying alive and they're looking way more healthier. I'm planning to add a little bit more. That's why I basically create all these elements in the ceiling, because I really don't want to see any cables or light bulbs or connections there. I don't want to see any of that. I just want to basically hide a couple light bulbs of the grow light and perhaps keep this garden a little bit better, this balcony a little bit better and healthier with all the plants that I'm planning to add here. Now I'm gonna cover up a little things that perhaps I wish I have done different. I'm very happy with the results so far, but I feel like if I'm gonna do this project again, or maybe for somebody else, I definitely will take this in consideration before I build the whole thing. One of the things is the watering system. So as I mentioned in my previous video, I plan to do the watering only by the spray bottle. That immediately became a little bit of a hassle because it does tend to be a little bit tedious to keep filling up the gallon of water. It usually takes me at least 2 or 3 times to fill it up, pump some pressure, and then water the whole system. It did took me a little bit of time. I immediately realized that that was not gonna work. So then I started looking into the watering system, and as I mentioned to you before, I add some links about those watering systems. However, I did not knew that there are different types, and that the one I got works good, it does the job, but there is another one that I think is so much better and is so much efficient and less messy than the other one. And what I'm talking about is basically these perforated hose is very small, but it's already perforated, so you don't have to be cutting and adding. So it's so much easier if I knew that those type of hoses exist. I didn't know at the time, so I ended up getting the one that I thought worked the best. But of course, if I knew that the other one existed, the one that has all the perforations already, I could water the plants so much better, and I believe it will be so much less messy, because it gets a little bit messy sometimes. Now, adding a little bit about this topic of the irrigation. So absolutely next time I will install the irrigation system first. As I mentioned before, I just installed the plants, I did all the plants, and then I did the irrigation. So it was a complete mess, because so I ended up just hurting them, and of course that was a little bit of a mess. I also have some cactuses, so that wasn't fun at all as well. But overall, I will completely recommend to you, if you're planning to do a project like this, install the irrigation first, and especially the one that I'm talking about. I'm gonna leave the link below to both of them, and then you probably can go through them and see which one will work better for you. They're very affordable, and I think they do an amazing job. Now we have a guest. That's very nice. Hola. I don't move because I don't want to scare them. Awesome. So I can leave the link below for both of them, and you guys can go through them and maybe choose which one works the best for you. But for sure, I will install that first and then plant. That definitely is going to be so much easier if I do it like that next time. Something else that I will do different perhaps is, based on somebody's comments of the previous video, somebody suggested to put the pot direct inside the pocket. I think that's an excellent idea. I actually did that with the previous one, with a couple pockets that, as I mentioned, the plants were dying very often. So sometimes I just buy a couple ones from Home Depot and I just throw the pot straight in the pocket. It worked really good actually, and they kept healthy for, you know, a decent amount of time. However, because I had all of them planted, I just didn't like to see the different shape of the pocket, and I just ended up just putting them all together the same way. But I will completely advise, if anybody wants to do that, I think it's completely valid, and I think it's gonna do absolutely great. Now, going a little bit on detail about the pockets, that's something that I absolutely will do a little bit different, or a little bit more careful next time. I get a little bit excited about any project that I'm doing, so I started rushing a little bit. I did not measure any pocket. I just basically eyeball it, and I just used my sewing machine and just did it very fast. Next time, for sure, I will make sure that all the pockets are more even, and so the plants are gonna grow much healthier evenly. So I really hope you find this video helpful, and I hope it answered a little bit of the questions that the previous one left. So now you can tell 1 year later how the vertical garden is doing and how great this project can be for you, because it absolutely works, and I'm sure you're gonna love to see your plants display in this way. So I really hope you guys like this video. Don't forget to like or comment, and as I mentioned, it really helped me if you guys subscribe to my channel. Please help me grow this channel and bring you more content like this to you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.